What's pop locking and dropping gamers? Today I will be showing each and every one of you how to make a hyperpop beat for Glaive and Aldn. So to set aside all the intro hubbub, let's just get right to it. For the first part of the melody, I grabbed the Angel Valley patch from Analog Lab, and it sounds very similar to Glaive and Aldn's song What Was the Last Thing You Said, and this is what it sounds like. First thing I did was I laid down these chords in the progression of the 4 to the 1 to the 3 to the 5. In this melody, there is no shortage of 7th chords, as you can see, and using 7th chords is a great way to give your melodies a little bit more fullness and life. Also, something I like to do with my melodies is to keep 2 top notes stagnant, but change the chords. This gives it a nice little bit of suspense and makes the melody a little bit more interesting. From there, all I did was transpose the melody by moving the 5th down an octave of every chord. Transposing your chords is a super easy way to make your melodies sound a lot more full and vibrant. And after that, I threw the bass notes down an octave lower and added in this plucky counter melody. So there is a very simple basis for our beat. After that, I grabbed the dotted trance patch from Analog Labs, and this is what it sounds like. This sound integrates some EDM aspects into the beat, and it's just playing the same transposed chord pattern as the last melody. After that, I threw down this custom super saw that I made in Serum, and this is what it sounds like. A super easy way to make just a standard super saw is to grab a saw wave and turn the unison up a bunch. That will give you a good basis for a saw wave, and then you can tweak the sound from there. So those are all the melodic components when it comes to the intro. The first part of the intro, I'm just playing the first melody we mentioned as well as some ambience. After that, I introduce the standard amen break. It's fairly cliche, but I felt like it fit in beautifully with this beat. From there, I use a riser to transition into the next portion where I integrate all the melodic components as well as an impact. And after that is the build up where I throw in this drum loop that comes in gradually using filter automation. What I did is I grabbed a fruity filter and put it on the low pass setting and automated the cutoff frequency. And that makes it sound like this. And the last 2 parts of the build-up is this drum fill from Cymatics, as well as this reverse kick. So this is what the build-up sounds like. From there, I have it transition into this drop. For the drop, I integrate 2 new melodic components, and the first one being this custom lead that I made in Serum. And I have this one just playing a basic 5th harmony lead. And the next melodic component that I threw in is this very future bass-esque super saw. And this is what it sounds like. For this, I just have it playing the chords from the first melody, but I chop it right when the snare hits. For the drop, I chop up the melody a lot, so this is what it sounds like. For this, all I did was use the slicer tool to cut the melody whenever the snare hits, and I used this volume automation clip to completely cut out the melody because there were still some lingering sounds. Alright, so now let's go into the drums. So the first aspect of the drums that I laid down is this 808 from my Terminus 808 kit. So this is what it sounds like. For that 808, I just have a limiter sidechaining the kick as well as fruity fast distortion on the A panel and wider to give it a bit of stereo separation. Now here's a really cool 808 trick that my guy Mr. Dumb Stuff taught me. What I did is I took the 808 and then I cloned it and put it on a separate mixer track. From there, I just take the 808 and throw it up an octave, and I also take out all the low ends and throw on some wider for some more stereo separation. This little trick gives your 808 some layering and makes it sound a whole lot more full. So without the second layer, this is what the 808 sounds like. And with the second layer, this is what it sounds like. The next aspect I threw in is this kick following the 808 pattern. After that, I threw on this snare from Love Yosha's Hyperpop kit and layered it with this clap, as well as this very common hyperpop snare. After that, I threw down this accent snare at the end, and I grabbed this open hat from my Hive stash kit. So this is what the drums and the melody sound like all together. For this next portion, I have the melody playing all together without it being all chopped up, as well as the same drum pattern, but I integrate some two-step hi-hats. So this is what it sounds like. And from there, I have it transition into the verse. I'm not going to go into the verse too in depth because it is a beat change, but it's a fairly simple beat change. You'll know what I mean in a minute. So for this first portion, I just integrate the first melody and throw in some pretty standard trap drums. After that, I integrate this new melodic component, being this arpeggiated piano. For the effects on that, I have an EQ taking out the low end, as well as another EQ taking out some unwanted frequencies, Pancake panning it left and right, Fruity Reverb, D-Blue Crusher with very minuscule settings, and Valhalla Supermassive on the 80s mod room setting. So this is what the second portion sounds like. And I just have it playing the same thing through here. After that, I have it transition into another build up to a second drop. Everything is pretty much the same, except I took out most of the melodic components and threw in this new drum fill. So this is what the second build up sounds like. For this second drop, everything is pretty much the same, except I integrate this custom growl from Serum. So here is the first growl. For that, I have an automation clip automating the LFO rate in Serum. What that's doing is it's changing the rate from 1/4 to 1/8. For the second growl, I have it playing a portamento slide note, and I automated the rate so that it changes from 1/4 to 1/32. For the third growl, I have it just playing a consistent 1/8 rate. And the last growl is very similar to the second one, except I just have the automation clip going from very fast to 30-second notes. So this is what that sounds like. So this is what the second drop sounds like all together. And then after that, I have it transitioning into the same pattern as the first drop, and then it goes into the outro. So that's going to pretty much cover how to make a hyperpop beat for Glaive and Aldn. Hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial and learned something new. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Other than that, that's going to be it. Peace.